In the 90s, the plot of Eyes Wide Shut was seen as ridiculously unbelievable. To most, the idea of powerful elite belonging to a shadowy group, meeting in mansions, and participating in dark exclusive gatherings seemed like total insanity. Critics hated it, and the audience were left confused. But in 2026, things look a lot different. We no longer see this as the deranged thoughts of a director gone mad. We see it for what it really was, a vivid final warning that Stanley Kubrick died trying to deliver. This entire time, Eyes Wide Shut was trying to warn you about the truth of our world, and today, I'm going to reveal that exact warning. Eyes Wide Shut follows the story of Dr. Bill Harford, who while looking for an escape in New York City, ends up unknowingly infiltrating a private event for the global elite. Immediately he realizes he's seen a hidden side of society that was never meant for public eyes. Everyone is hidden behind elaborate masks and black cloaks, participating in a strange eerie ceremony before things got wild. As Bill makes his way through the mansion, he realizes this isn't the harmless thrill he expected. He had stumbled upon something seriously wicked. Eventually, he's discovered as an outsider, and before he can pay the ultimate price with his life, a strange woman offered her life in place of his. He's eventually let go, but under orders to stay silent or else. After he leaves, he realizes that for him to live, others disappeared. Back in 1999, no one took this narrative seriously. The legendary Stanley Kubrick was dismissed, and his final masterpiece was seen as a slow, confusing disaster. People simply couldn't buy into the idea that this world existed behind the scenes, that events like this were actually taking place. But the more you look into the film's details in 2026, the more you realize this wasn't just a movie, it was clearly a warning. Eyes Wide Shut was initially rejected by the world because no one understood what it was trying to say. No one realized it was a warning that's even found in the name of the movie. Kubrick titled it Eyes Wide Shut, a direct contradiction implying that what we believe society to be isn't the reality at all. While our eyes are technically open, we are shut from seeing what truly happens behind the curtain. Stanley was telling the world that we were blind to the truth, and he was trying to force our eyes open. It was a decision that many believe might have cost him everything. To understand who Kubrick was trying to warn us about, you have to look past the protagonist, Dr. Bill. The most important character in the film is actually the billionaire Victor Ziegler. When you peel back the layers of Ziegler's character, it becomes clear who Kubrick based his character after. He didn't just invent the villain, he based the movie's primary antagonist on the real-world figure who functioned as the ultimate gatekeeper for the powerful. In the world of Eyes Wide Shut, Victor Ziegler is more than just a billionaire. He is the man tasked with ensuring that the appetites of the elite are met without facing any consequences. When we are first introduced to his character, Ziegler calls Bill to a bathroom in his mansion to tend to a woman who has taken too many substances. Ziegler wasn't trying to save her life. He was trying to avoid having a tragedy linked to his billionaire ball. The next time we see Ziegler is at the mass ceremony. While it was never officially stated which character he actually played, some clues suggest that the man in red leading the strange ceremony is actually Ziegler himself. But before we get into that, I wanted to point out the duality in these two scenes. The first time we see Ziegler is earlier in the day at the ball for the elites. This ball is represented elegantly, everything you would expect from high society. But the second time we see him is at night when the real party starts. While all the same people attended both parties, one was for the public to hide behind, while the real party was held after. This duality is the key to understanding the point this movie's trying to make. The first party at Ziegler's mansion is for the public. It's about charity and status. The second party is where their sinister behavior is released, and they stop pretending to be civil. Kubrick is showing us that for the elite, the public image is just a cloak. Behind it lies the darkness they try so hard to hide. While the rich might seem to be elegant and high status, in reality, they were animalistic and focused on their sinful desires. Again, this ties back to the point the title made. People are blind to who these elite really are behind the scenes. They only see what they want them to see. As the man in red, Ziegler is seen as the one leading the ceremony and conducting all the hidden activities at the party. He's the one the elite put in charge of fulfilling their fantasies. He's also the one in charge of cleaning up the mess and keeping everything in order after Bill finds out their secret. We see this during the infamous pool table scene. This scene is another clue that Ziegler is secretly the man in red. Kubrick hid this in the symbolism and imagery of the scene. Ziegler is seen holding a pool stick while hitting pool balls over a red table. The table is red, matching the outfit he wore during the ceremony. Also, if you pay attention, Ziegler habitually taps a ball during the conversation in a manner that mirrors the red cloak's ritualistic striking of his staff, connecting his demeanor in private to his authority at the mansion. In this scene, Ziegler gives a monologue that shows us exactly how the elite make things go away and how they truly see people. Ziegler tried to convince Bill that the woman who sacrificed herself for his life during the ball scene doesn't matter. He tells Dr. Bill nobody was killed, she was a hooker, life goes on. He was telling Bill the official narrative, whether it's what happened or not, making sure that everyone was on the same page. Ziegler was showing us how he viewed people. They're just toys to play with. If they play too hard and break one, it doesn't matter. They'll just move on and buy another. This character clearly mirrors the real-world monster who was connected to the biggest elite. Like Ziegler, this notorious financier wasn't just a wealthy man. He was the link between the rich and powerful and their young victims. Both figures provided the escape for powerful politicians, royalty, and the industry titans, a place they could indulge in their darkest impulses with the promise of total immunity. Many people believe Kubrick purposely made Ziegler's character look awfully similar to the disgraced financier on purpose. He was calling him out and showing the world who he really was. And looking at the two, you see the striking similarities in appearances. Both are depicted as extremely wealthy, shadowy figures operating at the top of the social spectrum with access to powerful, high-profile individuals. Ziegler is portrayed as someone who uses his wealth to facilitate decadent dissipation and wild encounters with vulnerable people, echoing the allegations of real-life monsters. It's pretty clear who Stanley based Victor Ziegler on, but what he was trying to warn us about is what's most shocking. The movie made it clear that the ceremony during the ball was tied to the hidden appetites the elite were indulging in. Who they were truly targeting to fulfill their hunger were the most vulnerable. This is where Kubrick gave his life trying to expose in the final scene at the toy store. While Bill and Alice are distracted by their own conversation, their daughter Helena wanders through the aisles. If you look at the background, you'll notice two men watching her. These aren't random extras. They are the same two men seen earlier at Victor Ziegler's elite party and after following Bill around the city. This scene was the most important in the movie. Kubrick was trying to warn us that they're after the young ones. As the little girl walks away with these two men, the message becomes undeniable. He was telling us in this movie that these monsters weren't after working ladies, but the youngest of victims. The idea of targeting the young is spotted all throughout the film. There is a scene where Bill goes to buy a costume to attend the ball. When he arrives, the costume shop is closed, but Bill manages to get the owner's attention. While Bill is renting his costume, he discovers the owner is selling his young daughter to two wealthy older men. With this scene, Kubrick was exposing the reality that in these elite circles, young victims are treated as the ultimate commodity. Whether it's the shop owner's daughter or the character of Mandy, the woman who sacrificed herself at the party, the message is clear. The elite use these young victims for their amusement. In the toy store, when Helena is making her way to the two men, she walks past a board game titled The Magic Circle. This was not placed there randomly. This is a direct, undeniable reference to the ceremony scene from earlier in the movie. In the scene, those participating in the ceremony formed a circle around the man in red. Kubrick was telling us that the young were being targeted for the Magic Circle ceremony, which was shown in the mansion scene. By the ending of the movie showing Helena being watched by the same fixers who guard the elite secrets, Kubrick delivered his most haunting message. He was showing us what we now know as fact. The Zieglers of the world are after the most vulnerable in our society. This is exactly what Eyes Wide Shut showed us over 25 years ago. It is reported that Kubrick spent decades researching the habits of the ultra-wealthy, and the recently released documents prove his research was terrifyingly accurate. He likely had intimate knowledge of these circles because he lived among them. In the recent documents, Hollywood's ties to these elite circles were finally confirmed. We now know through unsealed emails that directors like Woody Allen and his wife were frequent guests at these high society events for years. It is highly likely that Stanley Kubrick was trying to tell us the truth through this movie. But when the gatekeepers realized that Stanley tried to pull a fast one and Eyes Wide Shut was revealing way too much, many believe the retaliation was swift. It is a well-documented fact in film history that Stanley Kubrick died just 6 days after showing his final cut of the film to the studio. It's rumored the studio was extremely upset and ordered him to make changes to the film. Changes that he allegedly refused to make and paid the ultimate price for. Shortly after his passing, rumors began to swirl that the film was heavily edited without his consent. Insiders have long claimed that 24 minutes of footage were removed from the original cut.
To be one of Kubrick's top assistants before he died. In other words, he was there all the way to the end.
That's getting good.
And he told me Kubrick kept muttering to himself that the Warner Brothers executives were going to hate his film. And literally, he quoted me saying, "Oh, when they see this film, they're going to kill me." Then, on the night that he showed them the film in London, strangely enough, he had taken up smoking again, which he'd been a chain smoker earlier in life, and he kind of slowed down. But apparently, much to this guy's surprise, he was chaining again. And he waited in the lobby, really kind of pale and distant. And then the movie ended, and the door opened, and somebody walked out and said, "Stanley, you need to come down here." And the door shut, and this guy said that he heard yelling for about 45 minutes, screaming and yelling. And he heard Kubrick say that, you can't change my film. It's in my contract. And then Kubrick stormed out first, and he followed Stanley. And that was the last time we ever saw Stanley. Wow. Stanley died exactly 666 days before January 1st, 2001, the first day of the year of his greatest film. That worries me, I have to tell you. I think that's a signal, and I hope to, the heavens above that he wasn't murdered. But
while the studio claimed that these edits were simply to avoid an NC-17 rating, many believe the deleted scenes went much deeper into the victimization of the young by these elite circles. I believe the reason they really edited out so much of the movie was because they wanted the public not to understand it. They wanted people to leave theaters confused and think it was just a bad film so they wouldn't get the message or think much about it. Some people might think, why would the studio even release the film if it were revealing too much? Why wouldn't they just scrap the entire film? But think about it, scrapping this movie would have been like burning $60 million in the 90s. They can't simply do that because Kubrick played them, but what they can do is mess with the movie and remove the parts that were too revealing. In 2026, as their evils are coming to light, people are revisiting these rumors. Was Stanley Kubrick ordered to tone down the reality of the movie? And did he pay the ultimate price when he refused to do so? We may never see the original cut, but the film we do have is enough to paint a terrifying picture of what is likely redacted in those archives. As everything surrounding this evil is unfolding, we are realizing this is the conversation they are avoiding. This is the part of the documents they want buried. This is clearly what Kubrick gave his life trying to expose. He was telling us they're using the young for their magic circles. While in the 90s this movie was far-fetched, today it is a warning that unfolded like a prophecy. But that's just my interpretation of the film after analyzing it for years. But what do you think? Was this movie just a strange, eerie film? Or was it a warning we should have listened to over 25 years ago? I want to know what you think below. Something I found interesting is that last year the movie Him was released, and I coined that movie the modern Eyes Wide Shut. Just like Eyes Wide Shut, Him was rejected and critics hated it. But if you watch this video, you would notice that it seems like another film hiding a warning. If you haven't seen my video on Him yet, make sure to check it out after this one. And if you like unfiltered content revealing the truth, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.